there might be cases where we need to take two decimals and subtract. Subtraction, if you remember, is really just the distance between two numbers. So let's say, for example, I go ahead and I take the number, let's say 16. And I want to subtract from 16, I want to go ahead and subtract 2.47. Okay, well, what we're going to go ahead and do is find the distance on a number line, really what we're looking for here. If we draw a little number line out, I want to find the distance between a positive 16 and a positive 2.47. That's my goal. So you can tell that this distance right here between is a little bit less than 14, right? Because if this was back here at 2, then the distance between 2 and 16 is 14. So our answer should come out to be a little bit less than 14. It's a nice little way of checking. Okay, so remember that subtraction is just distance. So what I'm going to do is something very similar to an addition algorithm where I line things up. So I'm going to put the 16 on top. And notice that the 16 doesn't have the two additional decimal places that the 2.47 has. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add those in here, like that. And I'm going to subtract 2.47. Okay, so really I didn't do anything with the 16. I didn't change it. I just put the two additional zeros. They're there. We just never write them. And I'm going to go ahead and do my subtraction. So the first thing I've got is 0 minus 7, but there's nothing here to subtract from the 7. So I need to borrow. So I'm in the hundredths. I need to borrow from the 10th spot. Well, there's nothing there either. So I want to look back. I'm going to borrow here from the 1st spot. So I'm going to borrow a 1. And 1, which is the value 1, if I borrow one of those, that gives me 10 tenths, right? 10 over 10 is 1. So I get 10 tenths. And then I can borrow from there as well to get hundredths. So let's borrow one of those. So I've got 9 left. And that gives me 10 hundredths. So I borrowed 1/10 to get 10 hundredths. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and subtract. So I've got a 10 minus a 7, and that's going to give me a value of 3. I have a 9. I'm taking away 4, so that's going to give me a value of 5. Put my decimal point down there. Okay, everything's lined up. I've got a 5 and a 2, so that's going to give me a 3. And of course, I've got my 1. So if you remember, if we go back, remember that we knew that our answer was going to be something that was going to be a little bit less than 14 because the distance between here and here was 14, and our distance was going to be a little bit less than that. And so 13.53 definitely makes sense. So you can think about this problem like I've got $16 in my pocket, and I'm going to purchase something that is $2.47. What is going to be left over? Well, I'll have $13.53 left over.